Hello, this is RICKY, the Android guy. Alright guys, so today I'm going to be doing my last video for the day, and that is what is the new stuff that we're seeing on Android 4.2. So 4.2 is still called Jelly Bean. So it's still Jelly Bean. They're saying it's just a new flavor of Jelly Bean. Before you had maybe like the green Jelly Bean, now you're having the blue Jelly Bean or the red Jelly Bean. So that's how they're explaining. No, but so a couple of different features, very subtle, nothing too extravagant, which is why it's not, Key Lime Pie, the new one, that a lot of people had thought it might be. So let me explain. So first of all, with 4.2, you do have a new type of panorama shot, and what that is basically that now you can do it from any which way. So before panoramic, it was only landscape going across. Now you could also do portrait going across, portrait going left, and you can also do it going up and down. So pretty cool how that you can kind of do it with whichever which way, and that's pretty cool that everyone will have access to that kind of feature now. I think it's really interesting and definitely it can look really beautiful. And the kind of thing is that basically you can even do like a spheric one, supposedly. Now I'm not completely positive on this, but basically it seems like you can even do like a panorama like this kind of thing, and it'll take of like the entire front like a circular one. Now that's what it seems like by the wording. I'm not completely positive on that, but basically panorama shots are completely limitless now. They're calling it instead of a panorama, just across, they're calling it a photosphere. So basically that you can go any which way, you don't have to go in a straight line. So that's the kind of really cool thing about it. And so they're making the keyboard better by making it kind of like swipe. If you've ever used a swipe keyboard, you kind of can like move your finger around basically, and it'll detect the new letters. So instead of actually just typing. So that's kind of interesting because, I think it's improving their keyboard. I still will personally be using SwiftKey. That is the keyboard that I love the most. I think personally Android should buy SwiftKey. That's what I've said for a little bit. Now, I think Android should buy SwiftKey because that is the best keyboard out on any OS. Any OS. I've used the keyboard for Microsoft. I've used the keyboard for Apple. I've used the keyboard for Android. SwiftKey is the best keyboard. I think they should buy it, and I think it would just improve the Android ecosystem dramatically. And then they can make their tweaks to it, and then they can make it, even better. So I think if Google buys the next company, I think they should buy that one. The other thing is multiple users can now use devices. So basically, you can have it fully customized for multiple users. Now, this will be more big on tablets, of course, than phones. You're not going to really use this on phones really that much. However, you really use it on tablets. So the fact that you can actually have, one user log in and then say if you have a brother or sister, a parent, or kids that you want to log in, they will have their own separate login. It'll be separate from your own. So I think this is really, I think this is pretty good. It's very innovative for tablets to have this, considering that this has only been seen like on PCs before. So I think it's pretty good that we have this. I think it's going to be go far definitely, and I think that it's good that we're keeping things separate. Maybe you can even make a what we've seen on other third-party apps where you can make one account for yourself for work and one account for yourself for play. And I think that would be another good way to go about this. But the multiple users thing, I think definitely is really cool that it has it. The other thing that we've seen is now you can actually send videos again. We've kind of seen this before, but basically that you can send videos wirelessly to your TV. Now, what we've seen this before is in the Samsung and HTC in third-party adapters. HTC had their Media Link, Samsung had their AllShare Hub, which are devices like this that basically will make your TV accept wireless connecting. Now, the difference is that this is going to be a Google one. So, where I think that's going to be unique is that the fact that we should see every TV now be able to work with an Android device, and that's pretty big, you know, for the fact that we're gonna have apps like YouTube now that can be used is a really a step in the right direction. I think it's definitely going to be really cool that you can do mirroring now with any device instead of just a manufacturer specific one. So I'm really looking forward to that because, you know, when I demo all these units for you guys, I can maybe actually just record the TV now, so it's a much bigger screen, much bigger landscape for to show you guys. So that's pretty cool. Other couple of things we have a new thing called Daydream, which is just kind of like a screensaver for Android. So it'll like display all of your gallery photos while like it's charging, or even display the latest news on Google Currents, which I personally love Google Currents. I use Google Currents for tablets, and I use Flipboard for my phone. So those are the kind of two ways I get my news. And I love Google Current stuff for tablets. It's really good, really well done. I definitely like it, and I would continue to use it. So I like that I can actually see the news while like I just turn on the screen and don't have to unlock it, or it's just showing me as a screensaver goes by. That's really cool. Um, Notifications are supposed to get some slight tweaks as well as the Live Now update. But for the most part, the Google Now update should even have some improvements that we have not seen before. So, but these are going to be the main things, and everything else is for the most part the same. So, yeah, that's going to be the latest version of 4.2, and it's really looking good. I think it's a small update, but it's one that was needed, especially with the wireless streaming. I think that's going to go a long way. As well as the swipe keyboard was okay, the panoramic was okay. These are features that I think are cool. But for me, the multiple sign in and the wireless transfer, I think is going to be the two biggest ones for me. What's your favorite feature of the new 4.2? What are you most interested in seeing? You know, do you normally use the Google stock keyboard? Are you going to be using the new gesture typing, as they call it? You know, it's really interesting. I think a lot of these updates are really good, and the fact that the last thing I want to kind of point out is I think this is what's so good about Google. Not only do you have Google making all these updates, but you also have manufacturers making updates, which is I think one of the reasons why the Galaxy S2, or sorry, the Galaxy S3 has continued to dominate the market, and Apple hasn't even come close with their with their iPhone 5 to the sales that the Galaxy S3 has had, and that is because you not only have Google, the OS making all these updates and software, but you have the hardware manufacturer like Samsung and Asus doing their own tweaks. But Samsung really did the best job, and I think that is kind of the untapped power that has happened with Android. When we saw it on PCs, you know, separate software, separate hardware, we didn't see it as necessarily a good thing because, you know, the stuff that HP put on there, the stuff that Acer put on there, and the stuff that these manufacturers put on there was never that like, oh wow, that's so cool, it made the computer so much better. It never was at that point. So, you know, Apple was always seen as the better thing for having, you know, hardware and software made by one. But Android, I think, now has proven that actually hardware and software can be better done than actually one manufacturer doing both, simply for the fact that if both work to improve it at the same time, you get really even better updates. So what I mean by this is, you know, how good Android 4.0, 4.1, and 4.2 are, and how all the cool things that they're bringing is really great, but also the fact that Samsung brought all these things like Smart Stay, which I love, Smart Stay, S Beam, all these different things that, you know, were not even on Android. You could not get it on another Android device, and I think that's what's made Samsung so successful is that they've done things that Google didn't do that they personally did. They went out to do all of these software and hardware updates that just made the phone even better, as well as Google still doing their part. So it made the best combination, and that's why I think that the Samsung Google combination is still the best. Asus tries to keep it stock; they don't try to interfere as much, so they just try to like keep it stock. LG tried to do their own thing, but it seemed like they were copying TouchWiz, and it wasn't as good. HTC their beautiful sense for a long time, but what they really did was more interface based, like how it looked instead of how it operated, and that was the difference that Samsung did. They did a change in how the phone actually operated, made features that no one else had, not features that were just built into Android. And I thought that was the main difference, and I think that's why Samsung is by far the most successful right now in Android, and why I think that it's still the best combination. I don't think there's any better combination right now than Samsung and Google. Just because simply you have the best software and the best hardware coming together to make the best products. And there's just nothing that, and it's been proven in numbers. The Galaxy S3, as I've told you guys in other videos, sold 20 million phones just with that phone alone. Whereas Apple, every single one of their iPhones combined could only sell 26 million. So it's really more apparent now that it's what I told people a while now, that without Steve Jobs, Android would keep continuing to go up, and Apple is losing their hold on the market. And if you don't believe me, I mean, don't believe me, but it's showing true. They've grown more on tablets, they've grown more on phones. I'm really interested to see how far they can go in computers, because honestly, I think every single, or a good majority, 50%, I would say, of people that have the devices like Windows and Mac would switch over to a Google device just because they all use Google applications. I have one friend that's a diehard Apple person, but every service he uses is often Google. He loves Google services. So you have people that are diehard fans of even like Windows and Apple, but they use all Google services just because when it comes to search, when it comes to all these different things, Google's king, Gmail, there's nothing that touches Gmail right now in the market. So these are the really cool things that I believe make Google so great. And with this new 4.2 update, I think it just keeps getting better. What's your favorite thing about 4.2, and what do you like about Google? What's the service you use most? Leave your comment down below, and feel free to ask any questions. This has been RICKY, the Android Guy.